My 3-month-old son was always fed, but my breasts were still painfully engorged. Pumping hurt, and my husband, David, refused to help, totally grossed out by the idea. Then I stumbled upon an online ad. Wet nurse needed. The requirements were simple. Abundant milk supply, able to satisfy a hungry baby. The pay? $300 a session. I was ecstatic. Money and relief from my discomfort? Sign me up. One afternoon, after feeding the client's baby, Mr. Smith, the father, walked in, his eyes fixated on my chest. I heard a gulp, like a wolf eyeing its prey. My name is Sarah Miller. I'm 26, married, and my son Leo is 3 months old. My problem? Too much milk. Even after Leo's had his fill, I'm still painfully engorged. My arms stick out. I can't even put them down. At night, the throbbing keeps me awake. Forget cute nursing bras. My breasts are constantly leaking, leaving noticeable wet spots that draw unwanted attention. Ironically, I haven't gained any baby weight. In fact, I'm curvier than ever. David, please help, I begged my husband, hoping he could relieve some of the pressure. He just scoffed. Sarah, are you serious? You want me to suck on where our son eats? Then his buddies called, and he went out for a beer. This wasn't the first time David had rejected me, but his coldness stung. I tried using my breast pump, but it was painful and ineffective. I squeezed my rock-hard breasts. No give, no bounce, just pure firmness. I sighed. Other husbands would be all over this, but David couldn't even look. I tasted my milk. A little sweet, a little metallic. Not bad, actually. Slightly relieved, I scrolled through my phone and saw the ad. Wet nurse needed. Must have ample supply to satisfy a hungry baby. $300 per feeding. Bingo. This was the answer to my prayers. I called immediately. The client asked me to come over for a trial run. If the baby ate well, I was hired. I got the address and eagerly prepared for my interview that afternoon. I chose a white blouse and a wrap skirt. Thanks to breastfeeding, my breasts were bigger than ever. The top 2 buttons of my blouse wouldn't close, so I skipped a bra. The outline was definitely visible. I looked even sexier than usual. I grabbed my bag, kissed Leo goodbye, and left him with my mother-in-law. I gave myself a pep talk in the mirror and headed out, feeling confident. I found the house easily, took a deep breath, smoothed my blouse, and rang the doorbell. Mr. Smith opened the door, his eyes widening, glued to my chest. I blushed, tucking a stray hair behind my ear. Hi, I'm Sarah Miller. Are you Mr. Smith? He blinked, snapping out of it. Yes, please come in. I sat awkwardly on the couch, noticing his gaze lingering on me. I felt a flush of warmth. It was a look I hadn't received in ages, and it stirred something within me. But when I glanced up again, the intensity was gone. Had it just been a fleeting moment? A pang of disappointment washed over me as I studied Mr. Smith. He wore a tailored suit that accentuated his broad shoulders and muscular physique. Clearly, he worked out. He had an air of sophistication, every movement graceful and controlled. And those eyes, deep, dark, and intense, framed by sharp, handsome features. My heart skipped a beat. I thought of David, grumpy, impatient, especially since Leo was born. Always out with his friends, coming home reeking of beer. And when we did get intimate, his beer belly got in the way. Mr. Smith and David were polar opposites. What had I ever seen in David? I sighed. Mr. Smith, where's the baby? Right this way. His voice was smooth and deep. I blushed again, following him, my eyes trailing over his perfectly sculpted back. He was breathtaking. I imagined him pinning me down, wild and passionate. He led me to the nursery where the nanny was trying to soothe a crying baby. The baby was wailing, clearly starving. I took a deep breath, pushing aside my fantasies, and smiled at the nanny. Hi, I'm here to feed him. As if sensing my milk, the baby reached for my chest, rooting around. I blushed again, glancing at Mr. Smith. Take your time. I'll be in the living room, he said, sensing my discomfort. He smiled and left the room. Another point for Mr. Smith. I sat down, unbuttoned my blouse, and let my full breasts spill out. I began to feed the baby. Even after Leo's feeding, I still had plenty of milk. The baby latched on, gulping hungrily, milk dribbling down his chin. The pressure in my breasts eased. My rock-hard breasts softened. Finally, some relief. But I felt a strange sensation, like someone was watching me. I glanced at the doorway a few times, but no one was there. I frowned. Was I imagining things? The baby finished eating and drifted off to sleep. I gently laid him in his crib. All done? Mr. Smith's voice startled me.